Hello everyone. Today is my chance to share a dream that foretold a true event from O1 The Real Deal. Wednesday, December 3rd, 2025. Ms. Na meditated from 9:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. After meditating, she fell asleep and dreamt. 1. She went to a place, a large, high-ceilinged room made of concrete. It was a luxurious residence with all the amenities, including a TV, beautiful lamps, a sofa, and plants decorating the room. 2. The dreamer stood looking around and suddenly saw her ex-husband, who passed away in real life in 2009, wearing a short-sleeved shirt, similar to pajamas, with a pattern. The pattern was unclear. A grayish color in the room. 3. He seemed to have just woken up. The dreamer wondered what he was doing in the room. He stood there for a moment and then disappeared. However, the room looked very dirty. It was full of dust and cobwebs. 4. Suddenly, she saw another man sleeping in the room next door. In real life, she knew him. He was a co-worker in his 60s and the boyfriend of her current supervisor. 5. The dreamer asked him if he lived there, seeing him getting ready for work. She asked if he was going to work, and added that he also lived in the room, but it was a small, separate room. 6. I saw him looking for something. The dreamer asked what he was looking for and how long he had been in this room. As it was her ex-husband's room, he replied that he didn't know how he ended up staying there, but he couldn't talk now because he had to rush to work. 7. The dreamer wondered if she was even in this house anymore, but since she was here, she helped the men clean up. She found a broom and swept up to the area around the TV stand, touching here and there. 8. She saw a flower pot, but there were no flowers in it. The petals had fallen to the floor. They were yellow but dry. They looked like chrysanthemums. Interestingly, the pot had cracked, dry soil, the flowers had shed all their petals, and the petals that had fallen to the floor were also dry, yet the plant was still strong and fresh. 9. The dreamer was curious about why it was placed there. Then she saw a box that looked like a box containing the ashes of someone who had died. She guessed that the flower pot was placed there to remember or honor the deceased. The dreamer woke up just in time for her midday meditation. Dream Analysis 1. Inside a luxurious room with a high cement ceiling and amenities. 1. Everything is intact and in good condition, but dirty with cobwebs, dust, and dust. This means that Wat Phra Dhammakaya, its viharas, and pagodas will be closed, seized, and prohibited from use and entry until a long time passes, resulting in the dust and cobwebs. 2. The man, the dreamer's deceased former husband, came to the room briefly and then disappeared. This refers to the subtle body of someone residing there, such as the vihara of Luang Pu at Wat Phra Dhammakaya. Even though the temple will be closed and no one will come to worship, Luang Pu Sad will still come there. 3. The man staying in the room next door is like someone who has come to live in that place without knowing who owned it before. This may mean that after Wat Phra Dhammakaya is closed, the empty spaces in the temple will be divided into rooms, made into rooms, and sold or rented out to people of other religions. 4. There is a chrysanthemum plant in a dry clay pot, placed as an offering in front of the box. The chrysanthemums, which contain the ashes of the deceased, symbolize happiness, joy, loyalty, longevity, and perfection. They also signify that if no one can visit the temple anymore, there will be no one to maintain the shrines or pagodas, and no one will worship the revered monk. 5. In the dream, I only saw yellow petals that had fallen and dried on the ground, with no one to clean them up. Yellow chrysanthemums represent happiness, friendship, and good fortune. This reflects the fact that because the temple is seized and closed, there will be no monks, no lay people to worship the revered monk or the pagoda. Happiness, good fortune, and friendship will end. 6. The flowers with their petals fallen and dried, but the stems still fresh. Even the soil under which the chrysanthemums grew is dry and cracked. This symbolizes that the flourishing of the Dhammakaya Buddhist teachings will continue even if the temple cannot be maintained. The Dhammakaya teachings are no longer disseminated, and no one will worship the shrines or pagodas. But the subtle essence of Luang Pu remains, preserving the sanctity of Buddhism and the Dhammakaya teachings, maintaining their sacredness. In summary, this dream, O1, was given to convey that, at the earliest, within 2 months, February 3, 2026, if no one among the lay people takes action to reclaim administrative power from the current monks, Wat Phra Dhammakaya will be seized and closed. No one will be able to reside there or make merit anymore. The temple and its shrines and stupas will be abandoned. Even though the subtle essence of Luang Pu Sod, Grandmother Chan, and the Buddha will remain sacred there, in their original locations, the areas surrounding the shrines and stupas within the temple will be divided into rooms for sale or rent by people of other religions, forever. Do all those who built this temple, if they are not aware and do not understand, truly consent to this happening? Even though the sacredness of the place, which yields excellent merit, remains, it will no longer be accessible for use, for worship, and they will have to allow people of other religions to divide the large areas inside and outside the shrines for commercial purposes, building rooms for sale or rent. The Buddhists who are the true owners because they build it will not be able to use the place. Just because someone didn't assert ownership when they had the right, he assumed there was no owner and took whatever he pleased. On Friday, December 5, 2025, Ms. Na meditated from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Normally, during meditation, she recites Sama Arahang, but this time, after only a short time, she suddenly had a vision in her meditation. 1. She saw an open space with a concrete floor and walls. She heard Kiang Tawan say, "Which cat vomited here?" Kiang Tawan then walked over and sat down, holding a short stick. 2. Kiang Tawan then used the stick to poke at the cat vomit. She saw a piece of paper and small pieces of what appeared to be cat food nearby. 3. Kiang Tawan used the short stick to scoop up the wet paper, about the size of a palm. 4. Suddenly, she saw the figure of a very large man, seemingly appearing there. Sensing and witnessing what Kiang Tawan was doing, he vanished in a flash. Analysis. 1. The house with a concrete floor and high walls represents Wat Phra Dhammakaya. 2. The cat, a pet in the house, in this dream symbolizes the temple's residents who use the temple's donated funds to support themselves. This includes monks, novices, laymen, laywomen, volunteers, and staff who receive stipends, wages, allowances from donations to the temple, which come from devotees who donate with faith in the merit of the temple. 3. Cat vomit reflects that the cat ate something inedible and then vomited it out. This is comparable to temple staff who make a living from the temple's donation money. Using the donated money in an improper, dishonest, or unvirtuous way, contrary to the intentions stated to the devotees when they were invited to donate. It is like eating something inedible, which must be spat out as waste, polluting the temple and making it visible to others. This is called cheating. 4. Kiang Tawan walks by and sees the cat vomit, pointing it out and inviting people to look. He then uses a stick to poke at what the cat ate to cause it to vomit. This means that Kiang Tawan has encountered, seen, and experienced something that temple staff should not have eaten, or something inedible, but secretly ate anyway. 1. Vomiting up and leaving a pile on the temple floor signifies that Kiang Tawan witnessed corruption within the temple and called people to come see what he had eaten that caused him to vomit. 5. While Kyungtawan called people to see the cat's vomit, it meant he was telling everyone that there was embezzlement of donation money at Wat Phra Dhammakaya, with such large amounts of corruption that it couldn't be swallowed up completely and had to be regurgitated. 6. Kyungtawan called people to come see him using a stick to scoop up the paper spoon from the vomit. This signifies that Kyungtawan had discovered corruption involving donation money and was calling people to see it while explaining the embezzlement. 7. But before anyone could hear or see Kyungtawan scooping up the paper from the vomit, a very large man arrived first, saw it, and then disappeared. This means that before anyone could see or hear what Kyungtawan was about to demonstrate, the corrupt individuals arrived first. The large man in the vomit represents a large figure within the temple. In summary, during this meditative vision, Owen used a special method to allow Ms. Na, who was meditating with a calm mind suitable for the task, to see what was happening at Wat Phra Dhammakaya. She then told Kyungtawan what she saw: a mess of vomit spilled on the temple floor, and a cat was meowing and pointing out what it was, urging people to come and see. She explained that this was the dishonesty of the temple's inhabitants, likened to a cat in a dream. These inhabitants, who are sustainanced by donations from faithful devotees, as per Luang Por One's guidance, are likened to a cat eating inedible things and vomiting. This cat is said to have embezzled temple donations, likened to consuming inedible items such as money, gold, bricks, stones, cement, sand, and other valuables of the temple. This includes profiting from the temple's charitable activities and using temple assets for personal gain instead of truly using them for merit making as promised to the devotees. The reason these things are inedible to the cat is because they were offered to the Buddha. The donated money and gold were given by devotees hoping for merit from their contributions as encouraged by the temple. The lay people did not give their heads to the monks. They were given to the temple for their own benefit. Taking something that was not given is considered theft, which violates the second precept and is a sin. In short, Owen wants to let you know that before Kyungtawan could even speak about the corruption he had discovered among the temple members, someone arrived and saw it first, the biggest culprit being the big man in the temple. Since he saw it first, he wouldn't let anyone else hear him point it out. To prevent anyone from hearing or seeing this, they wouldn't know the truth, that the temple members have been embezzling the donations from the faithful who have faith in Abbot O1 for many years. Especially that big man, the monk named Tu. Sunday, December 7th, 2025. Dream number 8 by Kun Wall at 4:30 a.m. 1. Saw Luang Por 01 returning, but not in a temple. It looked like a different country. 2. 01 walked alone, with temple children waiting to welcome him on both sides of the road. 3. The dreamer was assigned by a layman named Wachai to polish several pairs of shoes, waiting for Luang Por 01 to wear them. 4. 01 walked to the head of the line in the middle. The dreamer sat where the shoes were placed. 5. Wachai walked over and asked the dreamer if it was ready. 6. The dreamer said it was ready, but the shoe polish wasn't very bright. He needed to use the master's spray to make it brighter. 7. Wachai then casually said, "Luang Por, may I?" 8. The dreamer then sprayed Owen's shoes with the spray, and they became bright and shiny. The dreamer woke up. Additional details. 9. The dream occurred between 4 to 5 a.m. 10. The monk, 01, was dressed in a monk's robe, walking towards the dreamer. He wasn't wearing glasses, and his face looked brighter and younger than before the legal case. His feet were not visible, so it's unknown what kind of shoes he was wearing or if he was barefoot. 11. The children waiting to welcome him stood with their hands clasped together, not sitting down. And they were not from the dreamer's country. 12. Only the dreamer and a friend from the same country were present, and neither was in the welcoming line. 13. 4 pairs of black leather shoes for men to wear to work. 14. The dreamer polished them with cream, but noticed they weren't shiny enough, so he asked to use a spray bottle from his real-life boss. After spraying, they became shiny. 15. It seemed like Chai asked the dreamer to polish the shoes while waiting for the monk, 01. 16. The dreamer's friend, who is from the same country, was only seen with the dreamer, and they were not in the welcoming line like the dreamer. 17. The dreamer was at the spot where the shoes were placed, but near the point where 01 arrived. The friend was looking for food. At the end of the line, about 4 meters away from the end of the welcoming line. 18. Everyone was happy that 01 had returned. But that happiness seemed to have to remain a secret. 19. Monk 01 walked to the front of the line, near where Chai was standing. Chai walked over and asked the dreamer if everything was ready. Analysis 1. The time of the dream, between 4 to 5 a.m., and the monastic attire that 01 appeared in, explain that it was the real 01, entering the dream through his subtle body, which was a monk, equals a monk in a present life, at all times. 2. Walking along the corridor on the right side of the dreamer. The dreamer saw the front of 01 walking closer before turning right onto a straight path and walking away from the dreamer because there was a line of people standing to welcome him, forming a backdrop. From the imagery, the dreamer thought that 01 had returned, probably after waking up, but not in the dream, because in reality, 01 was walking towards them only to walk away. 3. Because the dreamer was at the shoe placement point. 1. He was polishing shoes and Wachai came and asked if he was finished. This means that Wachai will give the finished shoes to 01 to wear before he leaves. 4. The shoes are black leather work shoes that Wachai will give to 01 to wear. This means that 01, the monk, is walking away from his fellow temple members to live a secular life as a working man. 5. The dreamer and his friend were not in the welcoming line because they are not easily deceived and do not believe the information from the central temple about 01's whereabouts and any instructions. Only these 2 people in this branch of the country know the correct and latest information about 01, December 7, 2025, according to this dream. 6. 4 pairs of identical black leather shoes mean that from now on, if divided into 4 shifts of 6 hours each, it's like a shift schedule for meditation. From now on, the real 01 will live a secular life as a male human. But the subtle body is the living monk, with the status of a supreme being. One who is constantly attaining the supreme Dharma body 24 hours a day. 7. Another friend, 4 meters away from the end of the welcoming line, and at that point, the friend was looking for food. This can be explained as 01 leaving the community of his children, leaving the life of a monk, to wear leather shoes and work in the secular world as a layman, living a lay life 24 hours a day. He will have a worldly life, like what the dreamer's friend is doing in the dream, which is earning a living and building merit, without falling into delusion. 8. The dreamer was polishing the shoes, and the polish wasn't shiny enough, so he thought of spraying it. He asked 01 for permission to spray the shoes before giving them to 01 to wear as he left his monastic life. This means that the dreamer's respect and love, and any prayers the dreamer had for 01, are like spraying the shoes, helping to make 01's secular life as a layman from now on brighter and more prosperous. 9. Those in the 2 welcoming lines did not sit down, but stood with their hands clasped together. That means standing and seeing him off. Summary from the dream. The real 01, through compassion, appeared in the dream to show the dreamer the truth. that the person who was once Luang Por Damacheo in the dream on December 7, 2025, at 4:30 a.m., is no longer a monk or Fra Damacheo in physical form. He was just walking past a group, whom the dreamer correctly understands, who had lined up to see the real O1 off from the group, to live as a layman. From now on, he will live as a layman 24 hours a day, earning a living and building merit, living like a disciple of those who build merit, free from delusion. This information is the truth and correct, and the dreamer should know that any good wishes or good intentions, the merit making for O1, or the prayers offered by the dreamer to Fra Damacheo, have resulted in a brighter and more vibrant life for the real O1 as a layperson, in the status of a lay monk. This means the recipient is no longer Fra Damacheo in his monastic robes. Further explanation: O1 wants this message conveyed to all of Fra Damachayo's disciples worldwide, because this is the truth. From now on, the dreamer and or all the disciples who have ever had good intentions, offered prayers, or made merit for O1 in Fra Damachayo's name will understand correctly. Whether they decide to do anything regarding O1, or continue to make merit or offer prayers for O1, is entirely up to their discretion. Knowing this truth, they can choose to do so or not. If they do, it will enhance O1's worldly life and bring brightness. If they don't, it's alright, but it simply means it won't lead to the same prosperity for Fra Damacheo. And O1 is providing this information so that everyone can be freed from delusion or deception from anyone who may know the truth but wants to deceive for their own personal gain. Or who doesn't know the truth but chooses to believe it, it's a delusion. However, the real O1 asks all the children around the world to read this message so that they can be freed from delusion. Because the real O1 has never intended to deceive anyone, especially the children who truly respect and love O1, and will not use the name of Fra Damacheo, which he once held, for personal gain. Directly or indirectly, the real O1 has intended and tried to tell this truth for a long time. Whether anyone believes it or not, and whether there is any merit or sin if it arises from delusion, is not related to O1 at all. But if anyone, after knowing this truth, still has faith and intends to make merit with O1, the real former Luang Por Damacheo, from now on, with beautiful intentions, goodwill, and aspirations, and makes offerings to O1 as before, O1 will gladly accept it as a layperson, living monk, who will help to O1's worldly life become bright and prosperous. Therefore, those who make merit with O1 in this new, true status will receive the following merits. Making merit with a layperson, a represented monk, is therefore important. Please pray correctly and truthfully so that your prayers will not be in vain, as there will be no delusion clouding your judgment. Even if someone doesn't have faith in O1, they don't have to. O1 isn't inconvenienced or distressed. His physical body is just like any other layman. But do not let anyone deceive you into believing that O1 is still Fra Damacheo. Do not let anyone deceive you into believing that Fra Damacheo is still giving orders, assigning tasks, or inviting you to participate in any new merit-making projects after 2020. The year O1 renounced his monastic vows. This means that any new merit-making projects announced by Wat Phra Dhammakaya and its branches worldwide since the beginning of 2020, after the Dhammachai Tudong pilgrimage, do not originate from the real O1. If there is any claim that it comes from Phra Dhammacheo, or if it is implied that it is a project initiated by Phra Dhammacheo in any new merit-making project, or if the name is changed for any reason, it is a lie. And the real O1 has no involvement whatsoever. Since it is not the real O1 or Luang Por Dhammacheo who initiated those new merit-making projects, it is not genuine. Let the disciples and followers use their own intelligence and judgment to consider the knowledge that Fra Adamacheo has taught throughout, until the last day he taught on April 21, 2016. They should use it to their advantage to determine whether it is merit or sin. If it wasn't someone else inviting them to do good deeds, then who was inviting them? And will that merit be pure? Or will the results be quick, powerful, and miraculous, as they were with the real Luang Por Damacheo? But whoever invites them, and who is not the real Luang Por Damacheo, and intentionally or deliberately invites people to believe that it is the real Luang Por Damacheo inviting them, whether they are monks or not, whether they know or don't know for sure that it's not related to O1, using the name of Luang Por Damacheo, or intentionally inviting disciples, sponsors, leaders of merit, or any devotees, is wrong. It is believed that any new fundraising solicitations were made by someone claiming to be Luang Por Damacheo. After the actual O1, referring to a person who is not actually authorized to do so, was no longer in the temple, specifically after April 22, 2018. Until O1 actually left the temple on February 2, 2019, and until O1, Fra Adamacheo officially disrobed after the completion of the 2020 Dhammajarya pilgrimage. Regardless of whether these points can be clearly verified or not, the reality is that when such solicitations are made by someone who is not the real Luang Por Damacheo, those who donate will not receive the same swift and miraculous merit. Whether it becomes a sin depends on the intention of the person making the solicitation. Finally, if the intention of the person making the solicitation occurred during a period when Luang Por Damacheo was not actually there, either because he was not authorized to do so, or was not actually at the temple, or was no longer Fra Damacheo, all three scenarios, but there is a new fundraising solicitation from anyone, whether at the central office, branches in Thailand, or abroad, and the intention is clearly that of Luang Por Damacheo, then that person is committing a sin. The claim that there is a real Luang Por Damacheo involved, even without mentioning his name, signature, or date, is entirely a lie and deception. When the initial intention behind any act of merit stems from deception and lying, it violates the fourth precept, adultery. This leads to the intentional violation of the second precept, which is embezzlement. However, since the initial intention predates the announcement of a new act of merit, a desire for wealth, they announce a new act of merit by claiming the name of a O1, who doesn't actually exist. They claim the idea or purpose belongs to a O1, who doesn't exist. In that case, the initial intention is that of a deceiver, thus intentionally violating the second precept, adultery, and deliberately violating the fourth precept, embezzlement. Anyone participating in these acts of merit is therefore implicitly participating in sin. This has nothing to do with the real Luang Por Damacheo, who has already renounced his monastic vows. If anyone is unaware of this and has committed similar acts in the past, they should abandon it all. Forget past mistakes according to the teachings of O1, and absolutely refrain from committing any further sins. This means that any newly announced projects, initially driven by a desire for wealth and deception, are sinful projects that should not be undertaken. Then, review the merit-making activities that Luang Por Damacheo actually encouraged you to do, whether through the kindergarten school, in person, or in the parliament where the real O1 was present to invite you to do good deeds. Review these repeatedly, as if you were doing those merit-making activities again and again. The merit will be regenerated repeatedly, and it will certainly be pure and genuine merit. Repeating this process will allow the old merit to become new merit. This is sure and certain merit, and it yields more merit than starting new merit-making activities in new projects or initiatives that you are unsure if the O1 invited you to. especially considering the dream that Kun Wal, the meritorious person number 8, had on December 7, 2025. The information from this dream is absolutely certain and true. It is certain that any new merit generated after April 22, 2018, after the real O1 stopped sending instructions and teachings, up until the date of this dream and from today onwards, is definitely not merit from Fra Damacheo, the real O1. May I offer my congratulations to Kun Wal for her merit. Sadhu. Sunday, December 7, 2025. After offering rice to the Buddha from 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m., Ms. Na continued with meditation from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m., then fell asleep and had a dream. The dream: 1. I was standing on a road and saw my brother-in-law standing there as well. I pointed and said, "See? The plane is about to take off." 2. I saw a pickup truck pulling a Thai Airways plane into the lane to prepare for takeoff. 3. My brother-in-law said he was watching too because he had never seen anything like it before. 4. I looked at a very large Boeing plane. I saw a male pilot smiling and waving. 5. The plane moved from right to left to prepare for takeoff. When it reached the lane, the pickup truck had to release the towing rope. 6. Then, the plane, piloted by the young pilot, vanished into a small opening in a very large building or structure. Additional. 7. The dreamer and her brother-in-law were standing on the other side of a high place, like a hill, and looking down. 8. There's a road like a highway, and on the other side, there's a forest. 9. I saw a pickup truck towing an airplane. From where I was standing, the treetops were blocking the view of the airplane. I couldn't see its color. 10. Looking out, I could only see a grayish color because of the treetops. The truck was towing it slowly, so I looked to see what color the pickup truck was. 11. I saw that the pickup truck was somewhat white, and it had to stop and wait for the airplane to be towed into the lane for its flight. I saw the pickup truck release the towing leash. 12. Then I looked at the airplane and saw a man sitting and driving. It was like a fleeting image of a man's face, the face of a man piloting an airplane. I saw him waving and smiling slightly, but I couldn't see his face or hair. I knew he was around 20 to 30 years old. 13. The dreamer stood watching, trying to see what color the airplane in the dream was, but suddenly, the airplane whizzed into a rectangular opening in a large concrete wall. I couldn't see the roof or the height of the concrete wall. I don't know how high it was because I could only see the trees blocking my view, as the dreamer was standing on a hill on the other side. 13. The brother-in-law who was watching the airplane in the first dream is the husband of my sister who was about to cook in the dream. Dream B. 1. Then, in another instant, I went to my hometown and saw my sister and her daughter about to cook. 2. But strangely, I saw my sister step out of the house and squat down on a log with jagged sections like steps hanging from it. About to cook. 3. I noticed that some parts of the log that looked like steps were on fire, and some parts were out. 4. I asked my sister, "Are you cooking here? Do you see that the wood you're sitting on is burned in places? Come down, it might fall, it might break and fall." 5. The log my sister was sitting on was hanging quite high from the ground. I'm not sure if it was 2 or 3 meters. My sister said, "It's all right, I'm used to doing it here, it's never fallen before." My sister takes care of our mother at home. Then I woke up. Additional details, Part B. 6. I observed the size of the piece of wood. It was about the size of a person's arm, and it was wavy, like steps, similar to the wavy lines you see when drawing lightning. 7. Then my sister walked out of the house and stepped onto the piece of wood that was hanging and swinging. 8. The piece of wood was a greenish-yellow color, round and wavy. My sister stepped on it, and it swung. That's when I realized it was hanging. I couldn't see exactly where it was hanging. 9. I looked at my sister. She was sitting hunched over, squatting, and preparing to cook. She said she was going to cook, but I couldn't see any pots, stoves, or anything. I only knew she said she was going to cook. 10. Because I was trying to look at my sister, and then I looked at the wood and saw a section that had fire burning inside. It was red inside. 11. I saw 2 sections. In another section, the fire had gone out. 12. In one section, the fire was burning red, visible red. The red part was on top, the burning part was still burning. 13. And the charcoal was inside the wood. When it went out, it turned black and was at the bottom. 14. The length of the wood, judging from the notches, if straightened, would probably be about 3 meters, and it was swinging. 15. My sister stepped out of the house and squatted on this notched piece of wood. She said she was going to cook. I couldn't see any of the equipment. 16. The dreamer was calling out to the sister, telling her to get down or off the piece of wood, that the wood was on fire, and to hurry down or she would fall. Then I woke up. Analysis of the dream. A1. A large Boeing airplane of Thai Airways is about to take off, which relates to Thailand. 2. A young man is piloting this plane. 1. The person appears to be around 20 to 30 years old, viewed from a distance. However, a close-up view of their face reveals them smiling and waving. This is the real O1, former abbot Damacheo, a dragon in disguise. 3. While the dreamer is watching from a hill, an airplane is being towed by a pickup truck onto the runway. This means the real O1 is driving Thailand, leading the entire Thai nation, forward. 4. But once the airplane is level on the runway, it becomes clear that it is O1 piloting it. As soon as it takes off, the airplane vanishes rapidly into a large rectangular opening in the middle of a building or something similar. This signifies that the real O1 will lead the Thai people to a prosperous future. A progress that will happen in the blink of an eye. Analysis of the dream. B1. At the dreamer's birthplace, the dreamer sees their sister and daughter, representing the mother and daughter siblings who are merit makers, hosts, leaders of charitable works at Wat Phra Dhammakaya. 2. Cooking as usual signifies attending temple services to accumulate merit and participate in charitable activities. At the temple, as usual. 3. Stepping out of the house. One steps on a log the size of a person's arm, with jagged edges like lightning, suspended high above the ground. This means that when the relatives of the saints step into the temple to accumulate merit, the temple is in a condition no different from a jagged log suspended in the air. Not someone who should be able to sit down comfortably and could easily fall. 4. The log is greenish-yellow. The yellow represents Buddhist monks, while the green represents non-Buddhists, Muslims. This is explained as the log representing the temple, where people rely on it to build merit and accumulate good karma. Currently, there is a mix of Buddhists and Muslims living together. 5. The log has a section of red wood on the inside, which is the upper part, and another section that has been extinguished and is black, which is the lower part. This means that the same log is being burned by fire, and the lower part is burning the upper part. This signifies that Wat Phra Dhammakaya is being burned and destroyed from within, by the people residing within the temple. Soon, it will be completely destroyed, turning to charcoal. 6. While Wat Phra Dhammakaya has been undergoing acts of destruction for a long time, destroying it from within itself, from the bottom up, and the upper part is now burning away completely, due to the people residing within the temple. 7. The woman squatting on this unstable log, which is being burned from the inside. Even though people from the outside are telling her to get down and come away, she says, "It's alright. I'm used to doing this." Not seeing it fall means that people who come to the temple to make merit and accumulate virtue have been doing so for a long time. Becoming accustomed to it and thus becoming complacent, ignoring even the fellow merit makers who are shouting and crying out with concern. They see a fire burning in the log until almost all the wood is gone. If it's completely burned, only char will remain, and the log will break and fall. Unable to support the weight of anyone's support. This means that the monks in the temple are being consumed by the fire of defilements, destroying their merit and leaving only sin lying there. Until there is almost no merit left for the temple people to rely on. Soon, when the merit is gone, those who come to the temple will have no one to rely on, no monks to rely on, no merit to accumulate, and no temple to go to accumulate merit anymore. In summary, the dream. A. The real O1 wants to tell all the children and merit makers of O1 that the real O1 is undertaking an important national mission, leading the Thai people towards civilization. A journey that almost 100% of this group is not traveling with because of what is depicted in the dream. B. At the same time, it reflects the reality that is about to happen to Wat Phra Dhammakaya and its branches, which will affect the children, sponsors, and merit makers, those who refuse to accept the warnings from Kiang, due to their dreams. B. Dream. B. O1 The real one can only tell the temple's disciples, who have never been open to knowledge and truth, that their habit of making merit at the temple and refusing to listen to information from virtuous friends like Kiang is having negative consequences. Because the truth is, Wat Phra Dhammakaya and its branches worldwide are being consumed and destroyed by the fire of defilement of the monks and laypeople in the inner areas. It destroys the temple and the merit of the temple's disciples outside the areas who have been accumulating merit out of habit and negligence. Both the monks and laypeople in the inner areas have been burning the temple from within, continuously until the time is near when the entire temple will be burned, all its merit lost. And it will attract karmic consequences, resulting in the temple being illegally seized and closed. Then, the disciples who need to rely on merit will have no temple to accumulate merit. And there will be no monks to respect and worship anymore. This will happen very soon, within 2 months at the earliest. If the laypeople outside the areas, who have the potential and a heart that loves and respects the real leader, O1, refuse to wake up and acknowledge this truth, then they don't understand why it is so urgent for the monks to return the power of temple administration and finances to the laypeople as soon as possible. Friday, December 12, 2025, 5 o'clock to 6:30 a.m. Merit Maker Number 9, Kun Chien, Dream. 1. I slept at the International Dhammakaya Assembly Hall, Wat Phra Dhammakaya. 2. The mattress was about a hand's length thick, similar to a hospital bed, but laid on the floor next to a pillar of the assembly hall, between 2 large pillars. 3. There were power outlets and a 5-meter extension cord for charging phone batteries. In the dream, I didn't charge my phone because the area around the power outlet was wet, like a leaky roof. 4. I saw several female lay devotees or female merit leaders, mostly older women, nearby. 5. Then a male officer gave me a 2-page document to fill out so he could bring a multi-barreled grenade launcher, telescope rocket launcher to the center. 6. I didn't fill out the details because I was hesitant to offend the head monk of the branch. 7. Then, some temple boys dressed in rural clothing came looking for a place to sleep. I offered to give my mattress to the boys, but the officer in charge of the mattresses gave them a new set of green mattresses instead. Additional. 8. I slept at the assembly hall. 9. In the dream, someone brought documents for the dreamer to fill out. These documents were for the purpose of bringing a multi-barreled grenade launcher to the center in the dream, which was in Chiang Mai. 10. The dreamer understood that the officials would ask for signatures to accept the equipment into the center, so that each center in Thailand would have telescope-type grenade launchers. 11. The dreamer did not sign because they were considerate of the head monk of their center, who was not present. 12. There were 4 to 5 temple boys, around 8 to 9 years old, dressed shabbily, similar to children from northern Thailand, wearing green, red, or multicolored shirts. 13. New mattresses were provided by the officials in charge of the sleeping mats for the 4 to 5 shabbily dressed children who had just arrived at the temple, at the council. These were new green mattresses laid out, large enough for 4 to 5 people to sleep on together. Analysis 1. The place where the dreamer stayed was the council building at Wat Phra Dhammakaya. This is related to Wat Phra Dhammakaya, too. In real life, the dreamer usually goes to the Chiang Mai Center when visiting a temple, but in the dream, they stayed at the council building in Pathum Thani, indicating it was a special occasion. 3. The dreamer stayed overnight at the council building. The dreamer said that they had stayed at the temple during the raid in 2016. That time, they slept in a tent under a mosquito net. But in this dream, they slept on a thick mattress, about a hand's length, laid on the floor of the assembly hall like a hospital bed. This means that, as early as 2 months from now, by February 2026, there will be another emergency at Wat Phra Dhammakaya. 4. The fact that they slept in a tent under a mosquito net in 2016, but on a hospital-style mattress in the dream, indicates that the temple spends a lot on hospital mattresses, is this due to merit or not, and that the mattresses are replaced frequently. The old mattresses are also given to devotees staying at the temple to use. 5. The mattress is next to 2 large pillars of the assembly hall, indicating that the pillars are adjacent. The single sleeping bed is laid lengthwise along one side of the 2 adjacent pillars. The pillars have electrical outlets and a 5-meter extension cord, which are not in use because the outlets are wet from a leaky roof. This indicates the age of the assembly hall roof, showing a lack of maintenance. 6. The leak was between the roof joints and the pillars of the assembly hall, where the pillars were connected. This means that an expansion of the original assembly hall building was constructed, and the joints were not meticulously done, creating gaps in the roof that allowed water to leak in. 7. The resting area in this part of the assembly hall is for elderly female religious leaders. This could refer to the spiritual group or volunteers who are staying in the assembly hall. 8. A male officer brought a 2-page document to fill out, allowing them to bring a multi-barreled rocket launcher to the center of the person filling out the document. The dreamer entered a center in Chiang Mai. This means that if the dreamer filled it out, it was like granting permission to bring this multi-barreled rocket launcher to their provincial center, Chiang Mai. However, the dreamer did not fill it out. This could mean that in the future, people will use Wat Phra Dhammakaya and all its branches throughout Thailand as places to install multi-barreled rocket launchers. This could also mean that the temple's administrators are going to use the temple for military purposes, possessing weapons of war, to the point that the temple and its branches in Thailand become military camps stockpiling weapons for a rebellion. Because if it were normal Thai territory, it wouldn't be like this. Then there would be no need to use the temple grounds and its branches to install weapons and military equipment like this. 8. The new green mattresses provided by temple officials to the 8 to 9-year-old temple children, who resemble Northern Hill tribe people, to sleep at the Parliament building. signify that the temple is managed by Muslims and provides accommodation to illegal immigrants or is part of a human trafficking ring that lures young Northern Hill tribe boys to be trained as laborers or as soldiers who are exempt from conscription. The temple and parliament are then used as a base to prepare for a coup d'etat and to build political power. Summary 01. The real person took Kun Chian to a dream to tell him about future events. At the earliest, it will happen within 2 months from now, around February 2026. The matter involves a specific event related to military weapons and the conscription of foreigners to be trained as soldiers. Wat Phra Dhammakaya is being used as a training center for an army, and its branches in Thailand are being used as bases for launching multi-barreled rocket launchers, transporting and installing them in all branches throughout Thailand. The recruitment of Dhammakaya leaders from all branches across Thailand for special training at the parliament, the training involving rocket launchers, is related to military training and combat training to create a force for whoever uses Wat Phra Dhammakaya to perform various tasks for them. With Islam controlling the orders and management of Wat Phra Dhammakaya, from this dream, it means that in 2 months, Wat Phra Dhammakaya will be used by some Muslims who have seized power over the temple to secretly train soldiers, train the temple's Dhammakaya leaders from all over Thailand to become soldiers, and secretly purchase and store special forces weapons at the temple's branches. These branches throughout Thailand will be used as bases to install multi-barreled rocket launchers to instigate a major rebellion aimed at seizing power over the country. If we connect the current power holders of the temple, rumored to be the purple-clad higher-ups, and the news reports about the purple-clad higher-ups with the Muslims in the Hindu temple, who are rumored to be followers of Islam, or not, many people say they often hear the purple-clad higher-ups saying that Wat Phra Dhammakaya belongs to them. If these 2 news reports are true, it's possible that he would use the temple and its branches to stockpile weapons, specifically multi-barreled rocket launchers, and order temple leaders and local people to recruit hill tribe people to stay at the temple and use the temple's council to train them as soldiers and in the use of weapons. Preparing for war and a coup. These things wouldn't happen if the temple's true owners and patrons were to quickly reclaim administrative power from the monks within the temple. A new administration would be formed with virtuous and moral laypeople who wouldn't allow the temple and its branches, both in terms of personnel and resources, to be spent solely on religious activities. They wouldn't be deceived, coerced, or intimidated into committing immoral or sinful acts against them, to the point where he uses his power to force the temple to cooperate in seizing power or rebelling, as this dream suggests. If there is stockpiling of rocket launchers using existing temple branches throughout Thailand, this is a serious matter. It's a base for installing rocket weapons and training temple people, including religious leaders, to work as soldiers and provide supplies for him. He also uses the temple grounds to smuggle illegal immigrants across the border or engage in human trafficking, bringing them to hide within the temple. He uses the temple and its council as a base to gather and train people for his purple, referring to a specific group within the Buddhist sect, to be used as a real fighting force. If he can really do that, his plan to seize power and rule the country could certainly happen. Unfortunately, if he uses Wat Phra Dhammakaya and its branches throughout Thailand to carry out this plan, thousands of monks, novices, and lay people will not escape suppression and the law of karma, which will determine their fate after death. At the earliest, within 2 months from now, by February 2026, this kind of dream will happen. Who is the real owner of the temple? Wake up, my children, the community, those who build merit and whose ultimate goal is the attainment of enlightenment, disciples of O1 or Luang Por Dhammacheo. Do not remain indifferent and blindly continue only in your current comfortable life of building merit, because your life from now on. This is the consequence of carelessness, negligence, and a refusal to accept information from good friends, leading to lifelong regret and no opportunity to correct oneself. Please use your judgment when reading, use your intellect to reflect, and use your merit to decide what to do to prevent the events that the real O1 revealed in this dream from happening.
Pacha honto, anika honto, suki atanang pariharanto.